Yan Luna stood in the crowd, clutching 2 stacks of paper in her hand. One was a diagnosis of emotional detachment disorder, and the other was a divorce agreement. 3 hours earlier, because the hospital system showed her marital status as divorced, she made a special trip to the Civil Affairs Bureau. The staff member looked up. "Madam, you and Mr. Liang Henry were indeed divorced 3 years ago." Yan Luna's expression froze. "How is that possible? We just got married 3 years ago." The staff confirmed again, their tone becoming unnatural. "That's right, the divorce was indeed 3 years ago, just 7 seconds after you got married." He continued, "And Mr. Liang remarried a year later. The name registered in the spouse column is Xiao Maisie." Yan Luna stood there in a daze, her eyes hollow, only her arms trembling slightly. Everyone knew that Yan Luna and Liang Henry had known each other since childhood, watching each other's faces grow into adulthood day by day. He protected her, favored her, and made her the envy of all as a princess. But Maisie Xiao was an orphan left behind by his nemesis's family. "Madam, are you all right?" Luna Yan barely stood up and waved her hand. She wandered dazedly through the streets, the big screen in the central square playing an interview with Liang Henry. The man was wearing a beige suit, his long legs crossed. The interview suddenly paused and he glanced at his watch. "Sorry, that's all for today's interview. I should go home and have dinner with my wife." He smiled at the camera and the live broadcast ended abruptly. A gasp of envy rippled through the crowd. They praised him for doting on his wife and lauded him for his devotion. Yan Luna caressed the wedding ring on her ring finger, feeling only irony. She wondered which one of them was the wife he spoke of. Her thoughts drifted away and she seemed to see again that guardian who would get up an hour early every day, taking a detour just to pick her up and walk to school together. He would seize every opportunity to stand by her side, hosting the evening party, playing a piano duet, the sports meet. Every time he was proclaiming to the world that she belonged to him. So upon graduation, Liang Henry proposed. He always said, "I get mad when others even glance at you." That same year she returned to her family's old house for the Lunar New Year. Heavy snow blocked the roads and he walked several kilometers to appear at the door at midnight. As fireworks soared into the sky, he said, "We must be together forever." Next spring, when the flowers bloomed, they held their wedding. Yan Luna asked, "Have you thought it through? What I want is for you to love and protect me for the rest of your life." He couldn't wait to put the ring on her finger. "Then I'm even greedier. In the next life and the life after that, I only want you." After the wedding they were as sweet as ever. Until his nemesis's family died unexpectedly in a car accident, he suddenly had to go to the funeral. That day Yan Luna rushed over as soon as she got off the plane, but when she entered she saw Xiao Maisie in a black dress nestled in his arms, and he was kissing her forehead. Liang Henry chased after her, eager to explain, "She's the only one left in the Xiao family. That kiss was just for comfort, like a brother would." Yan Luna got in the car and left, and he ran after it when suddenly a car brushed against him and knocked him down. He was still crawling forward on the ground. And so her heart softened. After the funeral, Xiao Maisie disappeared from the world. Some said she went abroad to study. A sudden job change led to Yan Luna's temporary business trip to the UK. Under the shade of trees where white doves fluttered, she saw Liang Henry and Xiao Maisie feeding each other ice cream. It suddenly occurred to her that Liang Henry had recently purchased property abroad and had been traveling overseas more frequently. She walked over, startling a flock of white doves. On the return flight, Liang Henry switched to sit next to her. "It really was just a chance encounter at first. My main focus was work and taking care of her was secondary. After all, she agreed to Zhao's unconditional acquisition by us. Luna, I just pity her." Yan Luna stared out the window, choosing to believe him one more time, but this time she said, "Okay, I'll handle her affairs from now on." Henry Liang readily agreed, but she still felt uneasy. It wasn't until the doctor told her, "Prolonged worry has led to you developing emotional detachment disorder, and you will gradually lose the ability to experience normal human emotions. But even the dullest person will feel pain when a knife is stabbed into their heart." Luna. Henry Liang's car stopped, and as Luna Yan approached, Maisie Xiao deliberately got out of the car and moved to the back seat. Henry Liang took the initiative to explain, "Maisie graduated and returned to China, so everyone threw a welcome party for her. Let's go together. Luna Yen looked straight at him. Don't you have anything else to explain to me? He paused, looking somewhat embarrassed. I really didn't know about her joining the company. She hid her identity during the interview and she excelled in all aspects. By the time I found out, the HR department had already made the decision. Luna, please don't overthink it. Luna clenched her fist, suppressing the turmoil in her heart. 1,000 questions and angry words suddenly vanished at this moment. She didn't want to expose these endless lies anymore. With Liang Henry's support, Xiao Meizi, the former heiress, was still as popular as ever. The crowd was buzzing and Luna felt a little suffocated, so she went to the restroom. When she came out, she saw Liang Henry leaning against the corridor. He frowned and refused the cigarette offered by the person opposite him. I'm trying to conceive recently, so I've quit smoking and drinking. It's not good for Luna. As expected of Henry, I admire you. The man gave a thumbs up. But if this child is born, your marital status will be exposed when it's time to register the household. With Luna's personality, she'll definitely make sure you never find her for the rest of your life. A strange look flashed in Liang Henry's eyes, but it quickly disappeared. Then I won't let her find out. I'll arrange everything when the time comes. The man glanced at the private room. After not seeing her for a few years, the little girl has become quite wild. You need to keep her in check, don't let her cause trouble in front of Luna. Liang Henry curved the corners of his mouth. That's what makes her different from Luna, and I like her causing trouble. Whether or not I have that certificate, Luna will always be by my side, but Maisie is different. I need that certificate to tie her to me. Luna gripped the doorframe, not even noticing when her nails broke. Blood droplets fell, blooming into a large stain in the water on the ground. The 10 fingers are connected to the heart, but her heart no longer felt pain, only endless anguish. She changed locations and drank herself into a stupor. In a haze, someone asked her where she was going. She replied, "Can you get me a plane ticket? I want to go somewhere no one can find me." The person paused. "No plane ticket, but how about a boat ticket?" Luna woke up in an unfamiliar room, a note stuck to the headboard. "See you at the pier in 2 weeks." Memories numbed by alcohol gradually returned. It turned out that the person she had seen last night was Shin Owen, the only person in Nan City who could compete with Liang Henry, and also the only one who could help her leave. There were nearly 100 missed calls and messages on her phone, all from Liang Henry. It was already evening when she returned home. Liang Henry immediately terminated the ongoing video conference and came to greet her. "Luna, where did you go? You didn't come back after you went out last night. I was about to search the whole city for you if it had been any later." His eyes were bloodshot and he looked like he hadn't slept all night. The computer on the table was still on, and the screen showed a photo from her wedding. The first time he saw her in a pure white wedding dress, Liang Henry cried like a child. Luna looked at him for a long time, the love in his eyes still immense. Just no longer exclusive. She looked away and said calmly, "I ran into a friend and was catching up, so I forgot to tell you." Henry Liang's expression relaxed and he pulled her to the dining table to sit down, then rolled up his sleeves to peel shrimp for her. "You haven't looked too good lately. Should you go to the hospital and get it checked out?" Luna paused, her chopsticks hovering over the dish. She always told him in advance when she was going out, and the day she went to the hospital was no exception. But he was busy with Xiao Meizhi's affairs and didn't remember at all. Luna Yen casually said, "It's hot, I don't have an appetite." Henry Liang immediately looked towards the kitchen. "Zhou Ma, in the future make more light dishes and also make Luna's favorite fruits into refreshing desserts, and they should be different every day." Zhou Ma responded but didn't immediately return to the kitchen. Luna Yen followed her gaze and saw a food box on the cabinet by the door. Soon the plate next to Luna Yen was piled high with deboned fish and shrimp. Henry Liang got up and kissed her forehead. "Baby, take your time eating. I have to go to a last-minute meeting at the company." He quickly washed his hands and didn't forget to take the food box with him as he left. Luna Yen got up and looked at the bottom of the pot. It was peanut porridge. The light in her eyes dimmed little by little. She once went into shock due to a peanut allergy, and since then Henry Liang has forbidden any peanut products in the house. Even a servant with a few stray peanut skins on their sleeve would be immediately fired by him. But peanuts, which were like poison to her, were Maisie Zhao's favorite food. Luna Yen turned and went upstairs, opening the monitoring software on her phone. Since she rediscovered Henry Liang and Maisie Zhao's interactions, Henry Liang proactively installed cameras in his office to reassure her. Luna, this way you won't misunderstand me anymore. But at this moment Luna Yan's phone screen was completely black. As expected, Henry Liang would certainly not reveal any clues in front of her. However, after a moment the picture actually returned. Maisie Zhao's voice came through. I'm your legitimate wife, but now it feels like I'm doing something sneaky. Henry Liang cooled the porridge and fed it to her mouth. Little girl, don't be too greedy. I'm risking losing Luna to give you this title. Maisie Zhao playfully threw herself into his arms. Of course I know this is foreplay, don't you understand? Her eyes looked at the camera, full of provocation. But her tone remained calm. Having you is enough for me. After a long while, Henry Liang kissed the top of her head and said, Order is really important. If I had met you first, maybe I wouldn't have chosen Luna. In an instant, Yen Luna felt as if all the strength had been drained from her body. She recalled her 7th birthday party when her mother pointed to a group of boys downstairs and said softly, Luna, which one do you like? How about letting him accompany you to school in the future? She pondered for a long time and finally pointed to one in the corner. He looks lonely, I'll keep him company from now on. So Henry Liang, it wasn't you who chose me, but me who decided on you. But now I regret it. Yen Luna looked at the huge wedding photo on the wall and threw her phone at it. The glass shattered on impact. The phone under the shards of glass was still playing. Only me. Liang Henry leaned over, pinning the person in his arms to the sofa. Then do you want this or not? He raised his hand, letting a necklace dangle down. Yen Luna's pupils shrank, because Liang Henry had also given her an identical necklace. But he had clearly said it was a unique piece, the only one in the world. She immediately found a photo and sent it to a friend who was in the jewelry business, and soon received a reply. Fake. Staring at those 2 words, Yen Luna suddenly laughed. The necklace in her hand, like her identity as Mrs. Liang, was fake. Indeed, a true heart cannot love 2 people. She gripped her phone tightly, watching Maisie Zhao's eyes well up with emotion as she said coquettishly, I have one more wish. The next second Henry Liang's phone call came in. Luna, I have to go on a business trip for 2 days on short notice. Make sure you eat well while I'm gone. After hanging up as if possessed, Luna Yen drove to the bottom of his company's building, just in time to see Henry Liang's car drive away. After driving for a long time, the car gradually entered a winding mountain road and finally stopped in front of a mountain gate. The misty rain blurs the mountain path, making it slick. Liang Henry bent down and carried Xiao Maisie on his back, walking up the mountain. Yen Luna was no stranger to this place. At the end of the 1,000-stone steps stood a temple. After marriage she had not been pregnant, so Liang's mother brought her here. 1 bow for each step, only sincerity can bring you a child. That day was also like this with rain. Her knees were first covered with moss and later rubbed raw and bleeding. When she reached the last step, Liang Henry arrived and bowed down with her. He blamed his mother's blind faith and hadn't returned to the old house once in half a year. She still remembered that they had hung a love lock together in the temple that day. Unexpectedly, the next time she came here it was with Liang Henry and another woman. The 2 finally stopped on the marriage bridge. Maisie Zhao searched back and forth among the dense locks, suddenly reaching out to Henry Liang. Henry Liang smiled and took out a key. You actually found it. Luna Yen stood behind the tree, her nails digging into her palm. Sure enough, the next second Maisie Zhao opened a lock and threw it down the mountain, replacing it with a new one. She said smugly, You promised me that as long as I found the lock of you and Yen Luna, I could do whatever I wanted with it. Since she's already your ex-wife, of course, the love lock with her can't be hanging there anymore. Ex-wife. Yen Luna remembered that on the day they got their marriage certificate, Liang Henry had prepared a stack of documents, saying that he was going to transfer the property and some assets to her. She signed them one by one without even looking. Who would have thought that there would be a divorce agreement among them? In just 7 seconds, the marriage she had longed for throughout her youth was over. The reason why Liang Henry didn't register his marriage with Xiao Maisie until a year later was to wait for her to reach the legal marriage age. He was willing to spend a year waiting for Maisie Xiao to grow up, but only gave her a 7-second ending. This is the love he kept talking about. Henry Liang returned 2 days later than scheduled. As soon as he entered the door, Zhou Ma exclaimed, "Such beautiful flowers, I've never seen them before." He presented it like he was offering a treasure. It was a rare species grown on the back mountain of the temple, found only on cliffs. Those who take the flowers don't have to pay but must risk taking them themselves. Yan Luna only raised her eyes slightly. Zhou Ma, put them in a vase. What, don't you like it? Henry Liang noticed her indifference and embraced her. Baby, don't be angry. The reason I didn't come back on time is because a TV program invited you and me. I went to the location in advance to check it out. It's an outdoor interview show. The scenery is beautiful. I've been too busy lately and neglected you, I'm sorry. I also wanted to take you out for a change of scenery this time. Before Luna Yen could react, he had already instructed Zhou Ma to prepare the things needed for the trip. But Maisie Zhao's update had just been posted. She was holding the same bouquet of flowers, the red marks on her neck glaring. Caption, he just left and I already miss him. Luna Yen clutched her chest, her heart like a drifting boat. In the past 3 years, the happiness she had cherished should have been replicated countless times like this. However, what she got was a fake. The heartache was fleeting, leaving only numbness. Yan Luna thought, perhaps her condition had worsened again. On the day of the show's recording, the two sat down wearing matching outfits, Liang Henry holding Yan Luna's hand the entire time. When the host asked about the details of their relationship, he answered flawlessly. He didn't forget to adjust the cushion for her during this time. The two of you have gone from childhood sweethearts to marriage, and your sweetness has never diminished. You are truly a model of love, and your future will surely be even happier. Bang! A loud noise interrupted the host's words, and everyone looked towards the source of the sound. Maisie Xiao stood awkwardly next to the collapsed flower stand, the manager pointing his finger at her, scolding her in a low voice. Henry Liang almost instantly let go of Luna Yan's hand and strode over. You're fired. His gaze fell on Maisie Zhao's swollen forearm, but the words were directed at the manager. If subordinates fail in their duties, superiors are equally responsible. Henry Liang didn't give him a chance to argue. Moreover, treating employees like this in public damages the company's image. Luna Yen sat in her original seat, feeling everyone's eyes scanning back and forth between her and Maisie Xiao. Yet she maintained a graceful smile throughout. After resuming the interview, Liang Henry was noticeably out of sorts. The host paused for a moment. Mr. Liang, you got your wedding anniversary wrong. Their clasped hands tightened suddenly, and Liang Henry instinctively looked at her, then explained, because Luna said we're so happy that every day feels like our wedding day. A burst of envious jeering immediately erupted from below the stage. But Yan Luna knew he hadn't answered incorrectly. What he subconsciously blurted out was his and Xiao Meizhi's wedding anniversary. In the multiple-choice question that is love, she was already the discarded option. Yan Luna smiled, taking advantage of drinking water to pull her hand out of Liang Henry's palm, and didn't put it back. In the last segment, Liang Henry was to carry her across the flower wall. However, just as she put her arms around his neck, Xiao Meizhi, who was standing beside them, suddenly fainted. Before Yan Luna could react, she felt the strength supporting her suddenly disappear. She stumbled as she landed, the pebbles scraping her knees. Meanwhile, Liang Henry had already swept Xiao Meizhi up into his arms, striding quickly towards the exit. In the recording behind them, only Yan Luna's disheveled figure remained. The staff helped her up and also sent her to the hospital. In the hospital room, tears streamed down Maisie Zhao's pale face. Go back and be with Miss Yen, don't delay your love documentary. Henry Liang frowned. What's with the tantrum? Luna and I are participating in the show to promote the company, it's all for work. Because we have a partnership with the Yen Corporation. Maisie Xiao cried even harder, wrapping her arms around his waist. It's all my fault for being useless and not being able to help you. What are you saying? You've given me everything, and all I can give you is a title that can't see the light of day. Henry Liang stroked the top of her head, his tone gentle. I've wronged you. Yan Luna stood outside the door, feeling a wave of dizziness. However, she understood that being hurt by the truth was always better than being comforted by a lie. Xiao Meizi's voice continued to come. I love Zhou Ma's cooking the most. I wish I could eat it every day. Henry Liang held her face and wiped away the tears. This is easy. In the evening, Zhou Ma reheated the food 3 times before Henry Liang's car finally pulled into the driveway. Seeing the white bandage on Luna Yan's leg, he seemed to suddenly realize that he had hurt her during the day. He hugged her and kept apologizing, then went into the kitchen and made a few more of Luna Yan's favorite dishes. Fine, I'll wash my hands and make soup for you from now on to apologize to my baby. Zhou Ma smiled and said, then wouldn't this old woman be out of a job? The next morning Zhou Ma came to say goodbye to her. In the evening Maisie Zhao's status was updated again. Wanted, got. The picture shows the cuisine that Yan Luna has been eating for 3 years, with a hand-peeling shrimp visible in the lower left corner. Her English name is embroidered on the custom-made cuff. The phone lit up with a message from Liang Henry. Baby, I have to work overtime tonight too. Be good, have dinner by yourself first. Luna Yan opened the refrigerator. For the sake of health, Henry Liang always told Zhou Ma not to hoard food, and the ingredients were all bought fresh daily. So now there is only a box of dumplings that Zhou Ma made in advance in the freezer. Henry Liang had obviously forgotten this. After a simple dinner, Yan Luna curled up in bed but found it hard to fall asleep. A familiar and terrifying feeling of suffocation gradually surged up, and she rolled up her sleeves to find red rashes already appearing on both arms. It was an allergic reaction. A few scenes flashed through her mind. The pot I used to make peanut porridge for Xiao Meizi not long ago was the very same one she just used to boil dumplings. Yan Luna's consciousness gradually blurred, and she fell off the bed into darkness. In the endless darkness she fell into a dream. She returned to the day her father suddenly passed away, while Liang Henry was away on an important negotiation. I'll be right back. His tone was firm on the phone. No need. Your side is more important. Yan Luna stayed in her father's study, her tears already dried. Wait for me. He only said these 2 words but didn't hang up the phone. Early in the morning Yan Luna woke up with a start, subconsciously murmuring into the phone. Cheng, are you still there? I'm here. Liang Henry's response was almost instantaneous. The next moment, Yan Luna's door was pushed open and he strode in, embracing her tightly. Don't cry, I will take care of you in place of uncle from now on. At that time, Liang Henry only had her in his eyes, as if the whole world was not as important as a single tear of hers. However deeply you love, in the end it can't compete with novelty. Be gentle. Can't you see her frowning? A reprimand pulled Yan Luna from her dream, a stinging pain on the back of her hand. Xiao Meizi's voice rang out. Blame me for being greedy and borrowing Aunt Zhou, that's why she accidentally ate peanuts. It's not your fault, Luna was too careless. Liang Henry's tone immediately softened. Zhou Ma made your favorite peanut brittle, be good, go back first. He coaxed Xiao Meizi to leave, and the moment the door closed he immediately leaned over to the bedside, his eyes lighting up when he saw she was awake. Luna, are you feeling better now? He held her hand that wasn't receiving the four. You really scared me, I saw you collapsed on the ground as soon as I got home. I've already had all the kitchenware in the house replaced to make sure there are no more peanuts. Yan Luna stared blankly at her, not calling out the origin of his peanuts. She opened her mouth, her tone indifferent. I want to drink the soup brewed by Zhou Ma. Liang Henry was stunned for a moment but quickly recovered. You forgot Aunt Zhou went back to her hometown. The newly hired nutritionist will be here in a few days. She's more professional than Aunt Zhou, you'll definitely like her. Yan Luna's eyes dimmed slightly, a hint of self-deprecation appearing in their depths. Really? Then I'm truly fortunate. Liang Henry held her hand to his lips, as affectionate as ever. Of course, if you wanted the stars in the sky, I'd pluck them down for you. Yan Luna withdrew her hand calmly and turned her face away. Liang Henry could still give her the world, but only if it was something Xiao Meizi didn't want. Outside the window the ink-black darkness was heavy, devouring everything. Liang Henry, you plucked the moon from the sky then complained of her coldness. Loving you I have no regrets, only remorse. On the day she was discharged from the hospital, Liang Henry held a banquet for her at home. Several nutritionists showed their skills, the long table laden with delicacies. Henry Liang approached from behind, his palm against her waist. No one can touch any of today's dishes before you've tasted them. Then you can choose one you're satisfied with to stay. Faced with such tenderness, Luna Yen would no longer be moved, letting him lead her into the inner hall. As soon as she appeared, she immediately became the center of attention, like a star surrounded by moons. Xiao Meizi was squeezed into a corner, her eyes fixed on Yen Luna. She used to be the main character in such grand occasions. Why should she only be left with Yen Luna's leftovers now? The cold light in her eyes was almost overflowing. Just then the nutritionist brought out a new dessert and placed it right next to her. A crisp sound of porcelain colliding broke the harmony of the banquet. Everyone turned back and saw a missing piece in the millefeuille cake in front of Meizi Xiao. "Assistant Xiao," someone pointed out, "Madam hasn't tried this dessert yet." Meizi Xiao, however, calmly put down her silver fork. "Sorry, I was too hungry." Then she slowly and deliberately picked up the second piece. Whispers began to rise around them. "Where did this wild girl come from? How can you be so undisciplined? How did they get in here?" Seeing the atmosphere become tense, Yen Luna couldn't help but feel a wave of exhaustion. Even Liang Henry is hers, so does she really need this piece of cake? Yen Luna walked over and dispersed the crowd. "Everyone, please relax and don't stand on ceremony. I'm a little tired, so I'll go." Ah. Before she could react, she somehow fell into the cake with Xiao Meizi. She scrambled up in a disheveled state, her dress and long hair covered in sticky cream. "What's going on?" Liang Henry rushed over and immediately took out a handkerchief to wipe her down. But he was too forceful, and when he touched the needle mark on the back of her hand, Yen Luna couldn't help but cry out in pain. Only then did Liang Henry stop and turn to face Xiao Meizi. "Don't you love to eat? Take the nutritionist who made this dessert with you. No firing allowed, a full 3-year contract. Not a day less, I will personally supervise you." The guests exclaimed in surprise. "That's a 32-star Michelin chef from overseas. How can she afford that? You must have to eat it while crying every time." She should have thought of this outcome when she picked up the fork. Xiao Meizi's expression slowly froze and she finally left with red eyes. If Yen Luna hadn't seen the reluctant and worried look in Liang Henry's eyes as he followed her, she would have believed this act. Meizi Xiao can't afford it, but Henry Liang can. As if all her strength had been drained, Luna Yen turned to go back and rest, but Henry Liang pulled her to a secluded place. "Why are you angry with her? She's just a little girl, a bit greedy." "I'm not angry." Yen Luna's calmness seemed to infuriate him. "Yes, you're not angry, you just disciplined her on the spot." Yen Luna suddenly looked up and saw his sharp eyes, unable to find any trace of the gentleness from the banquet. "What do you mean? Do you think I deliberately pulled her down with me?" She found it laughable but still tried to keep her voice down. "Surveillance, go check it out." Liang Henry frowned in annoyance. "You know I would never check up on you, but Luna, don't pull these petty jealous tricks. It doesn't suit you." Yen Luna looked at her distorted reflection in his pupils and suddenly felt it was utterly absurd. This man who once crossed 12 time zones to see her just because she said, "I miss you," was now turning a deaf ear to her explanation. "Liang Henry, you don't believe me." After a long silence, she said softly, not as a question but as a verdict. The phone in his pocket started vibrating, but without even looking he got into the car without turning back. With the protagonist's departure, the banquet ended on a sour note. Yen Luna sat back at the table, picked up her knife and fork and mechanically chewed, swallowed, then took a second bite, a third bite, until she couldn't eat anymore and rushed to the restroom to vomit. Finally, along with the white pills she had taken earlier to control her emotions, they were washed away. The next day, it wasn't until noon that Yen Luna had the strength to get out of bed. When she went downstairs, she found Liang Henry actually busy in the kitchen. On the table was the lunch that had already been prepared, and even the untouched breakfast was placed beside it. Yen Luna didn't know when he had returned, nor did she care. Why did all the nutritionists leave? He came to hold her hand, his tone returning to his usual doting manner, as if he wasn't the one who had flared up at her yesterday. "If you can't choose, then keep them all. Your husband can afford it." Yen Luna stood still, her eyes indifferent. "Including the one that Xiao Meizi took away?" The hand she was holding was suddenly flung away, and Henry Liang turned to look at her, his eyes gradually filling with displeasure. Luna Yen, are you never going to stop? He was a little surprised. In more than 20 years except for their first meeting, this was the first time Henry Liang had called her by her full name. When are you going to stop this? Luna, my patience is also limited. Luna suddenly realized that the last time she heard this sentence was when she was learning to ride a bike. At that time she fell into Liang Henry's arms again and again, and he joked with her with a smile but never let go. But now, any word about Xiao Maisie can easily irritate him. He could tolerate Maisie Shaw's willfulness but not her frank questioning. Suddenly, Luna felt she could no longer face him, so she grabbed her bag and left. As she closed the car door, she heard the sound of dishes falling from inside the house. She didn't return until late at night. Unexpectedly, Maisie Xiao was sitting on the sofa in the villa. She took the initiative to explain. Mr. Liang is going on a business trip and I'm here to work. Luna Yen ignored her and went straight upstairs. Not long after, Maisie Xiao came to knock on the door. Mr. Liang asked me to help him pack his luggage. Luna Yen, flipping through a magazine, finally pointed to the cloakroom, but Maisie Xiao had already entered. Her hand swept across the clothes hanging on Liang Henry's rack. Then she looked at the sparkling jewelry in the glass cabinet. Greed filled her eyes. Luna ignored it all. Xiao Maisie came out with her suitcase just as Liang Henry entered the door. He said in a cold tone, "This business trip is to an island and we'll be staying for a few days. You can come along if you want." Maisie Zhao's expression became a little unnatural, and the suitcase next to her suddenly tilted and hit her leg. Careful! Henry Liang rushed over and pulled her into his arms, wanting to lift her skirt to check for injuries. Maisie Xiao awkwardly held his hand down. "President Liang, Miss Yen is still here." Henry Liang finally let go of her. Luna Yen didn't even look up, simply answering his question, "Have fun." Maisie Xiao visibly breathed a sigh of relief. "Miss Yen, Mr. Liang and I are going to work. Please don't misunderstand." "Then I wish you a successful work trip." Luna's tone had no hostility, but Xiao Maisie pouted, looking aggrieved. Liang Henry's face did indeed look a little unpleasant. He grabbed the luggage and pulled her downstairs. "We're leaving tonight." The roar of the car faded into the distance, and Luna took her medicine and fell asleep. In her dream, she saw Liang Henry as she had first met him. "Luna Yen, I don't like you anymore. You didn't wait for me to leave school together yesterday. Luna Yen, why did you let him help you get the kite? Why didn't you ask me? Luna, are we still playing together tomorrow?" The pillow was damp and Luna opened her eyes in the darkness. "Liang Henry, do you have dreams like this too? Am I still clear in your dreams?" On the third day of her business trip, Xiao Maisie began to frequently update her social media. Deck photos with revealing clothes, mountain climbing photos with beautiful scenery, restaurant photos with elegant surroundings. What remains unchanged is that Liang Henry's figure always appears in the corner of the photos. And in the latest one, she's even boldly holding his hand, with almost his entire face visible in the photo, just like newlyweds. The caption reads, "On paid leave with the boss, do not disturb." Luna's thumb hovered over the phone screen for a moment, and she accidentally clicked the like button. No more than 3 seconds later, the phone suddenly vibrated, and Liang Henry's name flashed on the screen. "The forecast says there's a storm coming tonight." His voice came through the phone, accompanied by the clear sound of waves. "Close the doors and windows and don't be afraid if there's thunder." Luna looked out the window. Rain was constantly washing against the glass. She remembered how she used to be most afraid of thunderstorms, and Liang Henry would always end his social engagements early to come home and warm her cold feet in his arms. Nestled in his arms, she felt the whole world quiet down. But now she was facing the storm alone. Liang Henry was still saying something, but Luna didn't hear clearly until a crisp female voice came. "Itching. Come quickly. They're going to set off fireworks." "Oh my God. It's actually my name. Is this the surprise you gave me? I absolutely love it." Hearing the joyful voice, Luna seemed to see Xiao Maisie jumping happily on the beach. There was a rustling sound on the other end of the phone, and Liang Henry hurriedly said, "Go to bed early," before hanging up. Luna held up her phone, listening to the busy signal intertwined with the thunder, until a bolt of lightning illuminated half the night sky, and her tears finally slid down with the rain outside the window. In truth, her heart was already numb, only her eyes could no longer contain the sorrow. The rain stopped only when dawn broke. Luna pushed open the window and found the yard in a complete mess. The roses she and Liang Henry had planted when they got married were all broken by the wind and rain, petals scattered all over the ground. If it were before, she would definitely feel sorry for it for a long time. However, with parting imminent, if you can't keep it, don't force it. Luna opened her suitcase, packed her things, and destroyed and discarded everything she couldn't take with her. She carefully peeled away all traces of herself from this home and from anything related to Liang Henry. There's just too much. When the phone vibrated again, it was still a message from Liang Henry. After a dozen or so pictures of jewelry came a sentence. Luna, I'm sorry my attitude hasn't been good these past few days. Let's be good from now on. These gifts are all chosen for you by me. Do you like them? Why aren't you replying? Almost home, missing you. Luna didn't open those pictures, but instead exited the chat and saved the surveillance videos from that day in the office and at the banquet. She wants to prove to him that she hasn't changed at all, and that he is the culprit who killed this relationship. The sunlight suddenly broke through the clouds and shone into the room. Luna took one last look around the bedroom where she had lived for 3 years. When she left her wedding ring and cell phone on the living room table. Besides that, there wasn't a single word. She suddenly felt grateful that Liang Henry had designed and divorced her as early as 3 years ago, which now saved her a lot of trouble. The key was left on the cabinet in the entrance hall, and the front door closed behind her for the last time. Luna Yen stepped over the mess in the yard but did not feel heavy-hearted. From now on we part ways like spring mountains and evening snow, never to meet again. Henry Liang tripped over a small tree that had fallen across the doorway as soon as he entered the house. Frowning, he stepped over the scattered flowers and plants and pushed open the door. Luna, I'm back. But no one answered. He called out a few more times, dragging his suitcase full of gifts as he ran upstairs. Luna, I bought you that necklace you said you liked so much last time. The bedroom door was wide open and half of the closet could be seen empty at a glance. Liang Henry stopped abruptly, noticing that the wedding photo that had been hanging on the wall was also gone. Remembering that Luna hadn't replied to a single message in the past few days, alarm bells went off in his head. Suddenly there was a noise from downstairs. Henry Liang hurried downstairs, only to find it was Maisie Xiao. Why is it you? Maisie Xiao's smile stiffened, then she moved closer. You left your coat at my place. She looked around. What, Luna Yen isn't here? Henry Liang dodged her hand, his brow furrowed deeply. More than just not here, her things are gone too. Maisie Zhao's expression tightened and she carefully probed. When I was packing my luggage that day, she seemed to say something about leaving this place and never coming back. Impossible, Henry Liang interrupted her. Luna would never leave me. In the past, when he made mistakes, chased after her car and knelt down to beg, Luna Yen chose to forgive him. She was always soft-hearted because she loved him too much, so how could she bear to leave? That's just temporarily going out to clear his head, he'll be back in a few days. Maisie Shaw pulled Henry Liang out the door. Aunt Zhou has already made dinner, let's go to my place today. Henry Liang didn't refuse. Before closing the door, her gaze landed on the trash can in the living room. When she threw the ring and phone on the table just now, it made a loud noise. When Henry Liang rushed down, she was standing next to the trash can. Luna Yen, now that you've left, leave cleanly as if you were dead. Facing the table full of food, Henry Liang didn't touch a single bite, staring blankly at the plate of shrimp. Luna loves shrimp the most. Maisie Xiao paused with her chopsticks in midair, then with a smack, she slammed the chopsticks on the table. Zhou, are you doing this on purpose? Out of all the dishes, you just had to make the ones that Luna loves to eat at my house? What, trying to disgust me? Aching, look at her. Zhou wrung her apron, her face flushed red. Finally, she couldn't help but open her mouth. Actually, the shrimp dish is what the master loves to eat. The madam didn't like seafood at first, she only ate it when she was with the master. A hint of surprise flashed across Henry Liang's face. He had never known. Maisie Xiao was furious and stood up abruptly. Zhou, you talk too much. You talk too much too. Henry Liang's voice suddenly rose, startling both of them. Eat this meal yourself. He got up and walked towards the door. Since you don't like Zhou Ma anymore, she should just come back with me. Without waiting for Maisie Xiao to agree, Zhou Ma quickly took off her apron, and almost in the blink of an eye, she retrieved her luggage from the room. Sir, let's go. In fact, after arriving here, Zhou Ma's luggage had never been opened. Even if she wasn't going back today, she was going to resign. Maisie Xiao trembled with anger but silently sat down. On the way back, Henry Liang kept saying, Zhou Ma, Luna probably hasn't eaten properly these past few days. Please prepare some of her favorite dishes early tomorrow. As soon as they entered the villa, Zhou Ma went into the kitchen to get busy. Henry Liang sat down in the study and dialed Luna Yan's number again. Before the mechanical female voice finished speaking, Zhou Ma suddenly burst through the door. Sir, did you see this? Henry Liang saw what she was holding and felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. His voice trembled involuntarily. Where did you find this? In the trash can? Henry Liang heard his own voice, dry and unrecognizable. Yes, sir, the ring and the phone are both in the trash can. Zhou Ma placed the items on the table. Liang Henry took the phone. The moment the screen lit up, the lock screen photo stung his eyes. It was a group photo of them on their honeymoon in the Maldives. An unprecedented panic seized Liang Henry's heart. Liang Henry's fingers caressed the ring. Yen Luna only took off her wedding ring once. That was in the first winter after they got married. She went to the yard to build a snowman and the ring accidentally slipped off. He was in a meeting at the company and found Yen Luna kneeling in the snow when he got home, her fingers red with cold. He said, "Be good, don't look for it anymore. It will naturally appear when the snow melts." But she stubbornly refused to go inside, searching until 3 in the morning, and finally found the sparkling ring at the edge of the snow pile. That night, Yen Luna had a high fever, but she clutched the ring tightly in her hand and said groggily, "Ah Cheng, I found it. I'll never lose it again." But now she took it off voluntarily and threw it into the trash can. Liang Henry looked down and saw that his hand was also empty. He then remembered that he had taken off his wedding ring long ago to make Xiao Maisie happy. He opened the drawer and put the two rings together, then grabbed Yen Luna's phone, his fingers trembling as he entered his birthday. The screen unlocked. 2 new videos were just saved in my phone's photo album. The first video shows him and Maisie Xiao in his office. Maisie Xiao leans towards him, her fingers suggestively touching his tie, while he is on top of her, the necklace dangling from his fingers. But didn't he personally turn off the surveillance cameras that day? The second video is from the banquet that day. Maisie Xiao grabs Luna Yan's wrist, then throws herself backward, letting out a scream at the same time. The video clearly records the smug smile on Maisie Xiao's lips before she falls. So that's the truth. Maisie Xiao was indeed not as docile as he had imagined. Henry Liang remembered that day he grabbed Luna Yan's hand where the needle marks had not yet healed, and sternly rebuked her, saying that she should not have attacked Maisie Xiao out of jealousy. Looking back now, Luna Yan only looked at him in silence, but something in her eyes went out. He grabbed the car keys and rushed out while dialing his assistant's number. Immediately use all connections to find Luna's whereabouts. The rain started to fall. The sports car sped through the rain, splashing water everywhere. 15 minutes later, Liang Henry slammed on the brakes and stopped in front of Xiao Maisie's apartment building. During the 30 seconds the elevator ascended, his fists were clenched white and his temples throbbed. His mind was filled with Yen Luna's disappointed eyes time and time again during this period, each frame like a knife cutting back and forth in his heart. He didn't dare to think about how much she actually knew. Was it dissatisfaction with Xiao Maisie's repeated provocations during this time, or had it been since 3 years ago? The doorbell rang only once before the door was opened. Maisie Xiao was wearing silk pajamas, a surprised smile on her face. "Ah Cheng. I knew it." Her smile froze the moment she saw Henry Liang's expression. His face was livid, radiating anger, and Maisie Xiao subconsciously wanted to close the door. But Henry Liang blocked the door with his hand and forced his way in. "What are you feeling guilty about? Weren't you begging me to come every day? What's with the video?" Liang Henry squeezed out these words through his teeth. "What video?" Xiao Maisie closed the door, her voice starting to tremble. Liang Henry took out his phone and forced her to watch it. Did you deliberately restore the office surveillance I turned off? Maisie Zhao's face turned pale instantly. Ah Ching, let me explain, it's because I love you too much that I... Don't call me Ah Ching. Only Luna can call me that. And that day at the banquet. Henry Liang approached her, his voice terrifyingly low. Do you know what I did to Luna because I believed you? In a fit of rage, Liang Henry grabbed Xiao Maisie by the neck, pinning her against the wall, her toes barely touching the ground. Xiao Maisie's face flushed red as she struggled desperately. So what if I did all this? Aren't you the one who hurt her? I couldn't have done it alone. You. Liang Henry's fist slammed into the wall next to Xiao Maisie's ear, causing the plasterboard to cave in. Xiao Maisie screamed and cowered. This is domestic violence, she cried out in panic. Don't forget I am your legal wife. All of this is what you gave me. But the person I love is Yen Luna. Only her. The moment those words were spoken, Liang Henry suddenly understood something. If it weren't for today, if Yen Luna hadn't left in such a resolute manner, he might never have realized this. He got used to her presence, and it was only when love was compared that he understood his own heart. He thought she would never leave, but he didn't know she had already saved up enough disappointment. Where did she go? Liang Henry grabbed Xiao Maisie's shoulders, the force so strong that she cried out in pain. What else did you do to her? I don't know. I really don't know. Xiao Maisie cried. I was just jealous that she had you. I never thought she would leave. Henry Liang released his hand and Maisie Xiao slid to the ground, sobbing. He suddenly felt extremely tired, all the anger turning into endless regret. He turned and walked towards the door, taking one last look at Maisie Xiao before leaving. You're fired and I'm divorcing you. If Luna suffers any harm because of you, I promise I'll make you regret being born into this world. Maisie Xiao, however, got up and hugged him from behind. Isn't it a good thing that Yen Luna is gone? Wouldn't it be better for us to be together openly and honestly? Wouldn't it be better to continue loving each other? Henry Liang pried her hand open. Luna is gone, taking all of me with her. What do I have left to love you with? Henry Liang regretted it, regretted mistaking novelty for love, regretted mistaking mundane happiness for boredom. The rain was still falling. Henry Liang stood downstairs in the apartment building, rainwater streaming down his cheeks, indistinguishable from tears. He took out his phone, looking at Yen Luna's smiling face on the screensaver, his fingers gently stroking her face. Luna, he whispered to the void, his voice breaking, please. Give me one more chance. Just like when he missed the piano competition at the age of 7, Yen Luna played it for him alone in the garden. Just like when he accidentally broke the handmade gift she gave him at the age of 12, Yen Luna stayed up for 3 days and made a new one. Just like when he was 24, his belated wedding anniversary, Yen Luna wearing high heels on the 30-minute multi-stop. One last time, he wanted one last chance. Still no news. Increase the efforts. After hanging up the assistant's phone, Liang Henry opened Yen Luna's phone again, browsing through her photos one by one. He realized that she hadn't taken any photos since Xiao Maisie came back. He remembered the year she went back to her hometown for the new year, when he braved the snow to go there and took a picture of her looking up at the fireworks from downstairs. Later, she rushed downstairs without even putting on a coat and threw herself into his open coat, saying, "Your embrace is the warmest place in the world." He learned of Yan's father's sudden death from his assistant. He had been waiting for her call, hoping to hear her say, "I need you," but it never came. She was always sensible. But on the phone she called his name over and over again. Henry Liang knew that the subtext was, "If only you were here with me now." So he rushed back to her side. He was surprised to see her at the Xiao family's funeral. But thinking about it now, she always managed to catch the slightest changes in his emotions, so she showed up because she was worried. Maisie Xiao had been attached to his brother since she was a child, so she was often seen at business events. Unlike his brother's cold face, Maisie Xiao was never afraid of him, and even deliberately got left behind many times, then relied on him to take her home. But Liang Henry always deliberately kept his distance from her. Until that day, seeing the girl with tears streaming down her face, he felt a pang of pity. He knew his heart had strayed from its course, but he still inexplicably planted that kiss. The moment Yen Luna appeared, he felt a nervousness and panic he had never experienced before, chasing after her car. Even when he was hit, he couldn't bear to watch her leave. Until she stumbled towards him, crying as she wiped the blood from his face. "As long as you're okay, I forgive you." She sobbed uncontrollably, but Liang Henry felt a sense of relief. Thinking of this, he raised his hand and slapped himself hard. He should have understood it sooner.